Flat Earth Frank. You're gonna be Flat Earth Frank by the end of this. I'll say that on the show.
Flat Earth Frank. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, guys, welcome to the 336 Pull Up bonus episode. And today is a special episode. You know, a lot of times we like to discuss a lot of different topics, and we like to bring different things to you. And today is certainly a different day for us. I found it quite interesting. I have a special guest on. His name is Mr. David Weiss, and he is what they call a flat earther. So what is a flat earther, you may ask? Someone who believes that the earth is flat, someone who may have been called crazy at one point in time. But I've listened to a lot of his interviews. I've listened to his shows. I've looked on YouTube, and I think you guys are in for a treat in what he has to say. Mr. Weiss, thank you so much for coming to this bonus episode of the 336 Pull Up podcast. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. This is my last interview of the week, so I'm looking forward to it. Losing my voice a little bit, so you have to excuse me. And I'm excited to be on the Flat Earth Frank show because by the end of this show, you're going to be a flat earther.
Oh man. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And again, you know, we certainly appreciate it.
I'm glad to be here. I love talking to people that have the crazy notion that we're spinning and spiraling through space on a crazy, heliocentric insanity spinning spiral system. I mean, people that believe that we live here spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, orbiting at 66,000 miles an hour, chasing the sun at 500,000 miles an hour. If that's not enough, it's going sideways at 1 or 2 million miles per hour.
Wow.
Okay. How is that for insanity? That's the heliocentric system.
That is definitely insanity. That's definitely an insanity. So why don't you tell the listening audience about who you are and how you got into the whole flat Earth movement?
So I don't even, the flat Earth movement, is it a flat Earth movement? Well, I call it a flat Earth awakening, and that the world has been hijacked. We haven't known that the Earth is flat. I mean, the globe for 2,000 years, like they tell us. That's all a lie. This hijacking of our reality is less than 100 years old. Every civilization, every culture before us, all knew the Earth was flat. They all have a flat cosmology. The only religion that has a globe basis is NASA. NASA is a religion. A religion, by definition, is you believe in something and there's really not 100% proof of it. Well, NASA, there's no proof of the globe. We're going to go over that today. It's going to be amazing. But real quick, what is the flat Earth? Well, people that laugh at flat Earth, they have a crazy notion. They think it's a disc floating in space. We're not a disc floating in space. We're not a pancake in space where you go to the edge and fall off. Okay. We're not moving. If you Google flat Earth, you're going to end up at the Flat Earth Society. Well, the Flat Earth Society is a government-run disinformation site. Okay. And if you go there and read the stuff on that page, you'll never look at flat Earth again. You'll laugh at it and you'll say that Dave, he's crazy. I don't even need to look. He's insane. He thinks the world's rising at 9.8 meters per second and that causes gravity. We don't think that. So they have globers. You're a glober, by the way, or you used to be. And they have a false belief on what flat Earth is. So they laugh at it. And then the other thing they don't know is, which we went over already, is they don't know their own system. They don't know all of the speeds and motions that the heliocentric system is doing.
Okay.
You ever watch the sunset?
Yeah.
Beautiful, right?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
when you're sitting there peacefully, probably barefoot with your feet in the sand, maybe, and you're watching the sunset, you have to believe that you're on the top of a ball falling over backwards faster than the speed of sound, which is making the sun appear to go down. Okay. Right. So the sun's here, you're sitting here, you're looking up at the sun, you're falling over backwards, which makes the sun appear to go down. I got to get better props. I got to get a little globe. Okay. And that's crazy. That's not what we see. So where do you want to start? There's unlimited proofs for the flat Earth. There's zero proofs for the globe Earth. And there's things that work on both flat Earth and a globe Earth. They don't prove either. All right. So where do you want to start?
Yeah. So how did this come to be, and what was the reasoning behind it? Because as far as I can remember, we've have always been told, obviously in school, and you probably remember this, you had the globe, and the Earth spins on its axis. That's how the sun set, and that's how the sun is able to rise on one half of the world, and then the other half is sleeping, or it's dark on the other half. So I guess the question that I have is, let's just say, because I've heard in the past in some of your interviews and some of the shows you've done that, you said that, they've done this to program us, basically, right?
Sure. To control our minds.
To control
it's all
our
about
minds, right?
government. Ment is the mind, govern is control. Government.
Right. So was this just misinformation that was given? What was the reasoning behind it, I guess, is my biggest thing.
It's all about control. So the people that took over the world after the last great calamity, which happened in, I believe, in the 1800s, they decided to enslave the whole world and take away the advanced technology that was here years ago. I mean, there was an advanced civilization here not that long ago. They had airships bigger than aircraft carriers flying all over the world, which would never work on a spinning globe, by the way. And
That's right.
so they've literally hijacked the system from us. And these people, you could say, they hate God. And what they don't want you to know is that we are at the center of creation. We're not spinning out of control, hurtling through an infinite vacuum in a godless or distant God universe. We are at the center of creation. We have God-given free will, and nobody can take it from us. There's only a couple laws, and here are the laws: don't kill anybody, don't steal from anybody, help your neighbor, be a good person. Basically, that's it. Natural law. That's it. Everything else that the government tells us, like if you're on lockdown, it's your fault because you're listening to it. I just found out yesterday that they're easing the travel restrictions here in my state. I didn't know there was travel restrictions. I've been going everywhere. I don't wear a mask. I don't listen. I don't watch the news. I don't do any of that. And it doesn't affect me because I'm just doing my own thing.
Right.
And everyone, the control that the government, the mind control has over you is all in your head, right? What is $1 worth if nobody was here to take that dollar and exchange it for something? It's worth nothing.
Right. Okay.
So money is a belief system, and it's only worth the value that you imagine it's worth, right? The only people that have control over you are the people that you allow to have control over you. Right? They tell us what they're doing, and we willingly give it away because we're living in fear. We're a fear that the Earth is going to, crash into an asteroid's going to crash into the Earth. We're going to run out of dinosaur juice for our cars. We're gonna global warming. We're going to run out of food. We're going to run out of water. All of that is a myth. It's all endless. Where there's so much that they have us in fear that we give away our God-given free will. Willingly.
Wow. Speaking with Dave Weiss, special guest on the bonus episode of the 336 Pull-Up Podcast. Now, Dave, one of the things that I am interested in knowing about, and this is what made me highly interested in what you were saying, for years we have heard that aliens do not exist. I mean, a number of years. But just recently here, back in 2020, the government has admitted that there is something that is out there that they have no clue about, and they have no idea what it is. And they're pretty much saying, we don't know what it is. Nothing that we have, moves at that speed. But for years, pilots, and in plane that have flown planes, military people have all said that there is something else out there.
You ready to have your mind blown?
Go ahead. I'm ready. I'm ready.
So let's just quickly talk about what the flat Earth is.
Okay.
If we're not a pancake floating in space, they want us to believe that the flat Earth is a pancake floating in a heliocentric system with other ball planets. We're the only flat planet, and there's other round planets, or maybe all the planets are flat in this flat tard universe, they call it. Whatever. We don't believe any of that. That's not what the flat Earth is. What the flat Earth is think what a pond is. A pond is where water accumulates in the low spot in the land. And the edge of the pond is what? Is where the land is higher than the water, right? That's the edge of the pond. So a lake is a bigger pond. And think of all the world oceans as a giant pond. All of the continents are surrounded by water. They're like islands. They're surrounded by water. But all of the water is surrounded by land. Okay? It's the edge of the lake. Okay? Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. They don't teach you that in school. It's the highest land on Earth. When you get to Antarctica, you don't step off your boat and walk away. You have to go up 200 feet to get to the surface.
Right.
right? It's the shoreline of the world pond. Large bodies of water at rest lay flat. There's no curved water. Testably, provably, measurably, scientifically, provably flat. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no curvature, there's no bendy water, and the shoreline of our world is Antarctica. Antarctica is likely bigger than all of the oceans and all of the continents combined. It's not a little island at the bottom of a ball. It's massive. And how far does it go? We don't know, because in 1959, the Antarctic Treaty was put into place. No person, no corporation, no country, nobody is allowed to independently explore the outer space of Antarctica. The outer space. If you're going away from the center, you're going out south. And this is more space, outer space across the Earth plane. So what's out there? We can speculate. Maybe it's just a domed world and that's it. Or maybe there's other oceans and other terra out there. Terra is land, territory,
Mm-hmm.
extra, more, terra, land. And that's where extraterrestrials come from, the outer space.
Okay.
Right. So coming from, this outer space right here, in what is that, 10,000 miles, maybe, 20,000 miles max, so the extraterrestrials are coming. They could come here, invade us in the afternoon, and go back for dinner. Okay. Right, in a conventional craft, which they have free energy crafts. The secret space program is really just a secret propulsion program using electromagnetism to propel itself through this free energy world we live in. There's voltage in the air in mass quantities that you can't even fathom, and that we could just feed off of that and have endless energy. But they don't want us to know that, because if we had that ability, we can go explore and realize we're not on a ball, we're not trapped in a prison, that there's more here. So let's talk about the possibility of aliens or extraterrestrials coming from outer space, right?
Right.
So think about this. The in the heliocentric model, the sun is a giant ball and the earth is a tiny little ball next to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at if the sun is one of those big yoga balls, right? The big yoga balls, how big is the earth? Like the size of a marble, maybe?
Right. Yeah.
Maybe a small marble. So imagine you're in the middle of the ocean, tiny little island. You can see the horizon all the way around. The sky is just blue sky. And I brought the sun 1 mile over your head. You're not going to burn up. It's just for demonstration purposes.
Okay. I hope not.
Yeah. So if you look up, what are you going to see if the sun's a mile over your head? It's going to fill the entire sky, right?
Right.
It's going to fill the entire sky, horizon to horizon. All you're going to see is the sun, right? So when you move something into the distance, what happens? It gets smaller due to perspective, right?
Right.
Very simple. So if we move it, how they say it's 93 million miles away, which is ridiculous, it turns into the size of a nickel held at arm's length, just like we see it, right?
Okay.
Maybe quarter, nickel, dime, depends on how long your arm is. Okay. So it reduced from the entire sky, horizon to horizon, right? The entire sky, it reduced to this, all right?
Okay.
If I doubled the distance, how much smaller would that get?
Yeah, double whatever.
Well, it would get. Remember, it went from the horizon. If you doubled the amount it reduced, it would be negative space, because it's already tiny, right? So I'm gonna give you another number. If we made it 8 times farther, we can literally do the math and prove that its angular size is too small to see. It's too small to see at twice the distance, but I'm going to say 8 times the distance. Okay. So that distance where we definitely, provably, scientifically cannot see it with our eyes, I'm going to call that distance that I no longer can see the sun because it's too friggin' small distance. All right. Right. So just remember that with the 8 times farther than it normally is, that's I can't see the friggin' sun because it's too small distance.
Okay.
So now in the heliocentric model, they tell us that the closest star, there's other stars, all the stars we see, there are other suns. Some of them are bigger, some of them are smaller, a lot of them are the same, whatever, 100 billion stars. We can see we can see countless. You can never count the stars on a clear night. The closest star is 40,000 times farther than I can no longer see the sun distance anymore because it's too small. It's 40,000, not twice as far,
Right.
40,000 times farther. How could we possibly see anything like that?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So you know about Polaris, our North Star, which never moves, right?
Right.
We're spiraling through a heliocentric beehive galaxy, right? We're spiraling through this galaxy, right, in 4 different directions at once at ridiculous speeds. But you know about the Georgia Guidestones?
Oh yeah.
So here's the Georgia Guidestones. And in the center of the Georgia Guidestones, besides what the whole Georgia Guidestone thing's about, in the center is this little hole, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know about the hole in the Georgia Guidestones?
I vaguely remember.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So if
it's
you
put there
look through
for a
that
reason, they're
hole at
saying.
nighttime,
Yeah.
what you can see is Polaris, North Star. It's right there.
Okay.
And if you do a time lapse, all the stars are circling around it. It's Polaris. It's been up for over 40 years. Polaris has never moved. We're corkscrewing through the universe, going trillions of miles,
Mm-hmm.
and Polaris has never moved out of that hole.
Wow.
Are we moving? We're not moving.
Yeah. Okay.
We're not moving.
I
Dude,
got
that Polaris wouldn't be there for 5 minutes with all those movements. Okay. It's still there. It's always going to be there because all of the stars in the sky are within the Earth system. They're not big burning balls of hydrogen. And the only thing we could accurately say about anything we see in the sky, other than a known aircraft, and we're going to talk about aliens in a second, the only thing we could see in the sky, all including the sun, moon, and stars, the only thing we can accurately say is that they're lights in the sky, right? And because if they weren't lights, we wouldn't be able to see them. So here is the star Arcturus zoomed in with a Nikon P900 camera. Does that look like a burning ball of hydrogen hundreds of trillions of miles away?
No.
Insanity, right?
Yeah.
This is within the Earth system. There, and then if you look at like the star Capella, totally different, colorful, geometric patterns, insanity, right? Sirius is it's another one. It kind of looks like it's underwater, right?
Right.
I believe space is water, by the way. All of these stars are within the Earth system. They all have their own personality, if I say so.
Okay.
And what are they? I have my theories, but that's just, that's my theories. We can talk about that a little later if you want. So all of them are within the Earth system. You with me?
I'm with you.
So what are the odds? Now, so just so we understand, remember, the closest star is 40,000 times farther than I can no longer see the sun distance.
Right.
It's 25 trillion miles. People are like, trillion? What's a trillion? That's a cool number. Trillion is a mind-boggling number. Ready?
Right.
Take a guess on how long 1 trillion seconds is. How many days or weeks, whatever you want to measure it in. How many years is 1 trillion seconds?
Well, I've heard that it would be almost nearly impossible to count $1 trillion. So I'm going to assume that
you can't count it. You're right there. You can't. So how many years is 1 trillion seconds?
I have no clue.
31,000 years.
Wow.
Let that sink in. 1 trillion seconds is 31,000 years. We're $67 trillion in debt or whatever the number is. It doesn't matter. It's insanity. The closest star is 25 trillion miles away, and all of the other stars are magnitudes farther.
Okay.
How the heck? Oh, well, you're seeing them. They were there 100 million years ago, and you're seeing what used to be there. That light doesn't keep going. Light is like a sound wave. It just fades out over distance.
Okay. Now, Dave, let me ask you though. But let me ask you, not to interrupt you. Let me ask.
No, I'm good.
Now some might think that you're crazy, right?
No, I think the ballers are crazy. And you know what? By the way, I thought flat earthers were crazy too. I banned them from our social media for even suggesting that I look into it.
I remember you saying that when we had our conversation initially, that you were like the majority of them, of us, just, hey, the world is round. This is, what are you talking about? Scientific proof. It only makes sense. So I got one for you, because this is one that they've always told you. If you stand up and you spin around until you get dizzy, the earth you know, you're dizzy because the Earth is spinning on its axis. Explain that
No.
one, because I'm pretty sure you've heard that one before.
I've never heard that one. If you stand
Oh,
up
okay.
and spin around, you fall down. Well, if the earth was spinning and twirling and whirling, you'd probably be dizzy all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
how could all of these motions be happening and we have lakes that are perfect glass? They tell
Mhm.
us that at the equator the water bulges 14 miles high due to the centrifugal force. I used to think that was the coolest thing. That makes sense. Earth is spinning, the
Mhm.
water would bulge at the horizon, at the equator. But if you're flying from the north to the south,
Right.
fly at about 5 miles high.
Okay.
How At what point do you triple your altitude to skim over a hump of water?
Right. Right.
Okay, that
Right.
never
Right.
happens.
Right. Right.
Think
Right.
about all those motions. You ever build you ever see people that build a rock pyramids, rock, balancing rocks? I
Mhm.
do it. It's funnest thing to do. They're called cairns.
Mhm.
How would this be possible with all of those motions happening?
Yeah.
Right? They tell us the centrifugal force pushes the water out.
Right.
Why doesn't the centrifugal force knock this friggin' thing over?
Yeah. There's always some scientific fact behind
No,
it.
there's not. There's always some scientific bullshit behind it. And it's not scientific. It's total pseudoscience. There's no science.
Mhm. So you say a lot of big words, in other words, knowing that these are things that most people don't understand to make it sound good.
Right. They say, well, the science is settled. Well, science is never settled. Science
That's
is
fact.
always up for scrutiny. And Bill Nye, the lion guy with the bow tie, and Neil deGrasse Tyson, the high priest of scientism, he says they say the science is settled. There's no need to look at it. There's no need to talk to flat earthers, although they'll make video after video after video gaslighting us and straw manning argumenting us,
Mhm. Mhm.
with stuff that we don't believe. They still say that the earth rises, in the flat tarred world, right? Nobody believes that.
Right.
Only ballers believe that nonsense.
Right. Right. Now, one thing that I do have to say that I found interesting, and I saw this a couple of years ago, and you probably heard this, and this goes along with what you're saying to the listening audience today. The water, there is a section in the world. I don't know where it is. I don't know what country it is, but where the water, it, I guess, the body of water, the two oceans meet, but they don't interact with each other. So there's like one part of the water is very, very clear. One of it, it's very, very, you can almost see through it. And then there's another part of it where it's very, very dark, but they never coincide with each other.
Hmm.
I found that interesting. I don't know what part of the country it's in, but there was some scientific reason that they threw out there of why it was doing that.
I heard something about it. I don't know much about it. That
Yeah.
might be one of those things that could work on a ball earth or a flat earth. Although
Yeah.
if we lived on a ball, we'd all be dead. But that's a whole nother point.
Yeah. So what's the deal? So two things, right? So let's get back to the aliens. So with the aliens, right?
Yeah.
We talked about you. I've learned something already just when what you said in your opening about ter and extra, right?
Right.
Outer in the space,
The
outer
outer
space,
space
which is where they get
across
that from.
the plane of the earth, extra
Yep.
terra, extra
Extra terra,
land.
standing for extraterrestrial, which we are unknown beings, right?
Right.
So why all of a sudden is this just a change in the world that we're actually seeing, that now even the government is coming out and saying, well, yeah, we don't know what it is. We know it's not us, and we have nothing that can move that quickly or that fast. What's the deal behind that?
Yeah. So anything out of the government's mouth is for mind control.
Hmm.
They're lying. They're lying through their teeth,
Hmm.
unbelievably. We believe that there's been whistleblowers that basically say, after they've bamboozled the entire world into believing nonsense, they were going to unite the world into a one world government. And, like right now, if they say, hey, we're going to all join, there'd be so much outrage, right?
Hmm.
How can they join the whole world? Well, Ronald Reagan primed everybody in his UN speech where he said, imagine one day there was a threat, from beyond this world, and we
Hmm.
would all unite to fight that threat. Well, that's what they're going to try to pull off. That's the plan. I believe in the next few years, if they can pull it off with mind control,
Hmm.
because otherwise, it's not going to happen. They're going to try to make us believe that we're being attacked by extraterrestrials. They're
Hmm.
going to use holographic stuff in the sky, which they've done. The Phoenix Lights, in my opinion, was the first test of that. You know about the Phoenix Lights?
Yep. I've heard about them appearing in
10,000
circular
people
light.
saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there was this craft a mile wide and
Oh,
10,000 people saw it,
okay.
and including the mayor or the governor. And that was a test. That was literally a test. You know, they can project things into the sky, and what they're going to do is they're going to fake an alien invasion, and then people are going to the whole world will unanimously agree that we need to unite. Then they'll have their one world government. They'll have their one world everything. You
Mm-hmm.
know, when NASA and SpaceX sends up their fake rockets,
Mm-hmm.
it's they use a whole combination. Sometimes they send up blimps, sometimes it's just CGI, sometimes it's a miniature, right? But nobody is ever right there watching them. But if you watch these things, they have glitches all the time. And whether they do it on purpose or we're just catching them, like this was a SpaceX I think it was SpaceX, maybe it was Blue Horizon. But this one was one where they're actually projecting this into the sky. It's not really there, but there was something went wrong with the projector and the top of the rocket disappeared. Right.
I
And
thought
we've got, you know, Google Earth shots of NASA, and we were snooping around and we found these giant projectors. Like these, what are they? Are they lights? And we saw the label on it, the name on it, and
Mhm.
we looked it up, and it was from a company that does holographic projections.
Mm,
What is that doing on NASA's lawn?
right,
Okay.
right,
So what is going on here?
right.
Right? You know, the people, well, that's a video artifact compression, you know.
Mhm,
You can make up excuses.
mhm,
There's my alter ego is a guy named Baller Dave, and he
mhm.
can make an excuse for anything.
Yeah,
Okay?
that's true. That's true. We can.
Yeah.
So with that being said, since we're on the subject of aliens in space,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be one to go ahead and assume that you can talk to us about the moon landing not being real.
Yeah, the moon landing. What a that you know, I used to believe in the moon landing. But just real quick about the i- i- so the distance of the closest star, 25 trillion miles. What, did an alien come from the closest star because the other ones are even farther, come here and crash in Roswell? Or maybe they just came from the outer space across Antarctica, and maybe they did crash in Roswell. That makes sense. Maybe
Mhm.
they're coming every day in and out. Maybe I'm a friggin' alien. You don't know if I'm from the outer space. They probably speak English. Okay.
Is it
This,
possible? Is it possible that aliens could be? Obviously, we have our own group, and we known as people. We refer to people as people. But is it possible that aliens could be just another group of society that, because we have never seen them, we assume them to be something different, or they're weird, or they're going to do something to us? Is it possible that they're just another group of people, just like our ancestors came from different places, around in different countries?
so
Is
there's
that possible?
a story called the Iron Republic, and it was a series of articles in a magazine called Florida Magazine in the 1950s, maybe even the 1940s.
Hmm.
And it was about a senator from New York that was tired of what was going on. This is in the 1800s, and he, you know, retired, and he got a ship and a crew, and he went down to Antarctica. And when he was in Antarctica, he found an opening. Maybe it was like this one, and he went through it. Maybe it was right here. He went through it,
Hmm.
and they were lost. They were following it. Then they popped out. They didn't know where they were. No, the GP, you know, the compasses didn't work. You know, they didn't know what was going on. But then all of a sudden they found land, and as they approached the land, a boat came out, and it's like, ahoy! You know, they speak English,
Hmm.
and they said, where are we? They go, you're at the Iron Republic. You know, we're from America. Where's the Iron Republic? And the guy replies, well, the Iron Republic is on the other side of Antarctica, about the same distance as the United States
Hmm.
is from the other side. And they're like, what? And they went in, and this guy put a series of articles out. This is the 1940s and 50s. They're talking about flat screen televisions, electric cars. The technology they had out there was way, way advanced.
Hmm.
And and the whole society was run differently. And the story is like, well, where did you come from? And they're like, well, we used to live in Middle Earth. Sounds a little Lord of the Rings-ish, right? We used to live in Middle Earth,
Hmm.
but we didn't like the tyranny that was going on. And
Hmm.
so we left and we went out here.
Wow. Okay.
So they took all their technology with us, and they left and they went out here. And it's a pretty interesting story. It's a story, got no proof
Hmm.
of it. So, you know, it's an interesting story, but So maybe that's what happened. Maybe the Incas and the Mayas and the Aztecs, all of these advanced civilizations that built shit that we can't build today,
Right.
maybe they all moved out there also and left all the ruins behind, and we just filled in behind them and made up stories.
I've always questioned, how do we, or the government, and eventually the technology is passed on to us. But I've always questioned, how are we developing this technology? Like, from my understanding, Bluetooth, which was the big wave, 10, 12 years ago, or whenever
Yeah.
when it really got into it, they said that Bluetooth has been around for numbers of years and the military has had access to that. But they made
Yeah.
it seem like it was this, the latest and greatest technology. Now we use it for everything. And I've always questioned, like, where does this stuff come from? There's really some smart guy in a lab coat making this stuff up and, doing this, but where is it coming from? Because I just don't believe that it all comes from the government.
I believe it all comes from, some people say it comes from aliens, they
Mhm.
gave us the technology. It could be coming from the extraterrestrials, the advanced civilization that has just moved to the outer spaces.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
But it all of a sudden, in the 1940s or so, all of a sudden we had computer chips, lasers, we had, all of this technology just came out of nowhere, right?
Right.
Where did it come from? Solar panels, right? Where did this technology come from? Maybe they're trading it. Maybe there's a trade thing going on between the two civilizations. Maybe they're trying to educate us. Maybe there are some sort of aliens, other race that is made a deal to give us technology in trade for something else. Maybe like, hey, we need to abduct a few people because we need to check out how you guys reproduce because we're having issues.
Mhm.
Could be,
Mhm.
again, who knows what it is?
Right.
But here's something interesting. I used to be in the solar power industry, right? I had a solar power development company,
Mhm.
and solar panels are pretty interesting, but no one knows how they work. No scientist knows how they work. They have a theory on how they work. So who the hell made them?
Right.
Right? This
Right.
sounds like something that was given to us. And the theory is that a photon, I used to think this was the coolest thing in the world, is created in the center of the sun, and it takes 1 billion years for it to make it to the surface. And then
Mm.
it takes 8 minutes for it to get to Earth. I thought that was cool, right?
Right. Right.
And then the photon hits the silicon and knocks out a boron molecule, and then that creates a charge, which another boron molecule jump in, and all the photons hitting create this charge, and it creates a current, and that's how it makes electricity. It's a made up story. They don't know if it's real, but that's the best they have. And the reason they don't know how it works is because they think the sun is a burning ball of hydrogen a billion, 93 million miles away.
Right.
When in fact, the sun is small, close, local, and it's electric. Okay. The sun is like a Tesla coil. If you have a Tesla coil and you bring a bulb near it, it lights up. You're
Okay.
holding onto a bulb and it lights up right in your hand without any wires. That's
Mhm.
free energy. The sun is sending electricity to the earth, and the solar panels collecting it. That's all. It's so
Gotcha.
simple. It's right in front of their faces and they can't see it. We are collecting electricity from the sun. All of the plants, animals, food, everything is collecting energy from the sun. The earth is collecting energy from the sun. The earth is a giant battery. The sun and the moon are the anode and cathode of the battery. The salt water carries the current, and all of the land is the salt bridge of the battery, right? There's
Mhm.
a channel, LC King, if you want to learn more about it. LC King, the letter
Mhm.
LC King. He will blow you away. Bring a little food and water because you're going to have some time to think while you're
Right.
watching that stuff. Uh, but this whole earth is an incredible, amazing place. And we're not a spinning ball flying through an infinite universe. We're not lost in space, spinning out of control that we developed from, an amoeba that turned into a monkey, that turned into a human.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Humans ancestors are humans. Cats ancestors are cats. Chickens ancestors are chickens. They're not dinosaurs.
Right.
Okay. It's all nonsense. Never in history has any species turned into another species. Now, yeah, you can mate a horse with a mule and get a donkey or whatever the sequence is, or a lion and a tiger and get a liger. That's different.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So that's how
So
it goes.
let's talk a little bit about, let's go back to the age of the 60s with Kennedy as president, and the space program was a huge thing. We were so called in a race with Russia to
Yeah.
get to the moon. Now this has come up, I think, in the last probably that I can remember. I'm just going to say last probably 10 years where people have come out and said that the moon landing was a fake. And as I
Yeah.
looked at it in the beginning, I was like, I always questioned. I was like, if the moon, if it was the moon, if we went to the moon, how come we haven't been back more?
Well, because the aliens told us not to come back. That I used to think that was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
This homeless tweaker shelter is supposedly, it's two grown men in diapers there that took off in this from the moon and are connecting with the orbiter, right? South Park would reject this, okay, as crappy animation, right? This is what they showed us as proof of the orbiter happening. And then if you look on the moon, they were hammering a post into the ground, and the guy dropped the astral liar dropped his hammer, and he can't pick it up because he's hanging from wires, and he can't get enough downward momentum to get it. Right. And then sometimes when they're jumping around, they fall on their face and then they jump back up like that.
Right.
That's insanity, right? If you were in 1/6 gravity, you wouldn't be moving in slow motion. You'd be moving in fast motion. You'd be able to jump 20 feet in the air. But we can take their jumping with these wires and we can simulate it with somebody on wires, and it's exactly the same. They just slowing it down.
Yeah. Was that just a piece that had to do with history? We had to make America think, especially during the time of the Cold War, that we were better. We were more sophisticated and more advanced than Russia. That was the whole faking of the moon landing?
No.
Okay.
What it was is, how many people died in the Cold War? How many battles were there? 0.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
None.
It's all fake. It's all fake. All this whole division is just to divide us, it's all they divided us by countries, they divided us by political parties, by race, by religion, by sports teams, by gender. They're dividing us, taking away our collective power. Because when you get together, about the Maharaji effect, if all people get together and meditate together, they change the world. So they have us divided. They have us afraid of each other. Now, if you see somebody healthy closer than 6 feet to you, you're afraid they're going to kill you, right? They've got us in panic mode. It's insanity what's going on in this world. So the reason they did this space race is, one, to build up the military industrial complex. And the whole moon landing thing was to make you believe that you can live on a ball and you could travel to another ball, right? Elon Musk, right? Puppet, doesn't run any companies, total tool for the New World Order. He's going to Mars, right? He wants to bring people to Mars. So do you know who Verna Von Braun is?
I've heard the name.
Yeah, he's the German rocket scientist that they brought over to run that they brought over to run NASA. Now, you can believe that story or not. I don't believe there ever was a space race. So I believe that Verna Von Braun is just an actor from Hollywood. So he, in 1950s, wrote a book called Project Mars. And it's about a bunch of humans that went to Mars to start a new civilization. And the leader of that civilization, you want to guess what his name was?
What?
Elon. Okay, that's predictive programming. Worse than that, Elon Musk's rocket kind of looks the same, right?
It does.
Yeah, but you know what Elon said just a week or two ago? He goes, I want to redesign this. I want to make it pointier. Right?
See where you're going.
Yeah. So this is called predictive programming. Arthur C. Clarke invented satellites, and then a few years later we have satellites, right? The royal guy in the 1800s that came up with the idea of dinosaurs. No one in all of history previous, from the pyramids to wherever, no one has ever discovered a dinosaur. He came up with the theory of a dinosaur, wrote a paper on it, and then a year later, to the day, discovered the first dinosaur.
Wow.
Can you believe the amount of BS that people believe? It's because they're too lazy. Look, dinosaurs are real. I have a picture. There's a dinosaur. Prove me wrong.
I believe that's a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah. Well, is it real? I have a picture.
Yeah.
I have a picture. Therefore, I also have a picture of Jupiter. Is Jupiter real?
Good point.
Is that Jupiter, or is that Saturn, or is that Mars?
Right.
Which one is it?
I don't know.
Do you think it's Jupiter? It looks like Jupiter, right?
It looks like Jupiter.
It looks like Jupiter, but this is how easy our minds are. This is actually a meadow with ducks in it. Okay. This is how easily they fool us, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is Jupiter. I got pictures of Jupiter. Jupiter must be real,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So this was the 2014 picture,
Okay.
right? Gaseous planet with moving storms and everything.
Right.
2.5 years later, they took this picture and they go, look, we got a picture of the Northern Lights on Mars, on Jupiter. Well, one that looks ridiculous, but let's assume it's real.
Mm-hmm.
If we overlay them on top of each other, we can see that they're the exact same picture. See this little cloud right here?
Right.
Same cloud right there. See this little dark spot right here? Same spot right there. See this friggin' storm that's spinning around? It's bigger than Earth. It's the exact same thing right here. This is the same picture. They just put this on it. And they tell us that it's real. If you catch NASA lying once,
Mm-hmm.
you can unwind it all the way to we didn't go to the moon. This is the latest picture of Pluto.
Mm-hmm.
There happens to be a desert or whatever that looks like the friggin' dog Pluto. Or maybe that's my imagination.
No, it does. I can see it.
So here's two images, 2002 and 2012, that NASA has of Earth. The United States is twice the size in this one. I guess we're getting fatter, right? Right. So let's do some measurements on this one. Well, you can't verify anything NASA does, but we can verify ground measurements. We can drive across Mexico. We can take a boat that goes 20 miles an hour across this bay and figure out how long that is. And we can drive across Baja and we can find out that that's 934 miles. Pretty easy, pretty verifiable, not a belief system, provable system.
Mm-hmm.
The NASA, tells us that the Earth's diameter is 7,917 miles.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we should be able to fit 8.5 of these in between these lines. But as you can see, we can not even fit 4, like 3.5, 8.5 doesn't even fit on this page.
Wow.
Okay.
Right.
So we have two choices. One, NASA's lying and the Earth is a quarter of the size and half the continents don't exist. Or this is a painting and they're just lying. Okay.
Yeah, I got you. Now, let me ask you this though.
Go ahead.
What about we keep saying they, and we have even in society.
Who are they?
Who are they? Explain to the listening audience who they is.
They is, we don't even know who some of they is, but the ones that we know about, you can call them the Council of Foreign Relations, the United Nations, the Bilderberg Group, the royal families, the people that are trying to run the world, the people that we think are in control, that we give our free will away to, the banking families, the Rothschilds, right? Those are the they, but do they get marching orders from somebody else? Why did John Kerry during the previous election, on election day, go to Antarctica? Maybe he went down there to get his marching orders. Maybe he just went down there. Who knows what is going on? I mean, here's if this is the world, here's the shoreline of the world. Maybe there's giants out here. Who knows what's out here? We don't know. Maybe maybe these guys are looking over the friggin' world pond. And I'm like, yeah, look at it. It's a little pond with our little people in it. I don't know. That's just kind of like a cool setting. Kind of want that in my yard.
Looks like the Justice League of America in the background there, though.
Yeah. Well, look, they got the dome. They got the dome thing here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
That's interesting. That is very, very interesting. I mean, there's just so much, to tap into. I guess the biggest question, and what a lot of people would probably ask you, and you've been asked this, I'm pretty sure, a number of times, Dave. How do we know? How the fuck do we know that you are telling the truth? Because I'm pretty sure
you can verify. You can verify everything that I'm telling you about.
Okay.
You can verify it all.
Mm-hmm.
How do we know? Why do astronauts have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame?
That's a good question. That is a good question.
Okay.
Right.
Why does Verna Von Braun's gravestone say Psalm 19:1? The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. The firmament is the dome. Why is that on his gravestone? Is that a deathbed confession, or is that them letting us know. They always have to tell us if there's a bear trap in the woods. They can't just hide it under the leaves. They got to put a sign that says, hey, there's a bear trap,
Mm-hmm.
right? They always have to tell us and give us the ability to see the truth. But people are too lazy, too stupid, too fluoridated, too vaccinated to think anymore. And they're literally just hypnotized. And whatever the news says, they do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't watch the news at all. I don't know. I don't care what's on the news. I'm living my life.
Right. Right.
Right.
So
Why does NASA have their training facility with an underwater ISS in a pool where it has green screens that they make look like this? They say that the green screens are to make it look more realistic for the astronauts. Are you kidding me? One, they wouldn't see it.
right.
That only the monitors can see it. Right. Like when I look back here, I don't see it. I see a green screen.
Right.
Okay. What the heck is going on?
Yeah. Yeah. Super flat floor, super flat ocean.
Yeah. And if this is an experiment you can do yourself. I'm not lying. Get a big piece of plastic or sheet metal or something that's shiny, put a light low down and look at it so you can see the light going across it, and then just give it a little bit of a bend. Bam, that line disappears and becomes a point light. You can't have this on a curved surface.
Okay. Gotcha.
You could do it yourself. You can't verify anything NASA says. You can verify almost everything I say, except when we're talking beyond the shoreline of Antarctica or over as high as we can go. You can, that's speculation, and I'm saying it's speculation. It could be anything. But when NASA sends up a rocket, it goes out over the water and it crashes into the ocean, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there was a rocket that was sent up, if I can find it, in Arizona called the Go Fast rocket. This is an amateur rocket, and they gave us something that NASA doesn't give, an uncut feed. Like if this was a NASA rocket, we'd have 5 cuts already, right?
Mm-hmm.
This angle, that angle, this angle, that angle. It's a Hollywood production because it's not real. But this thing went up 73 miles, and then all of a sudden it went kerplunk into something sounded like water.
Mm-hmm.
Right? A more viscous liquid and more viscous medium.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was floating, very strangely for just a few minutes. But when it turned on its side, it saw the moon. And there's the moon. Okay, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Horizon looks kind of flat. But we looked at when this was launched and where the moon was. That time the moon was over Australia. New Zealand. It's even worse. So if the Earth is a basketball, and on the top of the basketball is where the rocket took off, the rocket was a fraction of a millimeter off the surface, but somehow it saw the moon, which was on the bottom side of the basketball. Can't be.
Right. Because in theory, if to your point, if it's round, you wouldn't be able to see it that way, and if it's flat,
you could.
You could.
Right. And the reason you can't see the moon from the ground is because everything due to perspective merges with the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at clouds over your head,
mm-hmm.
they're over your head, but those clouds that are floating at the same deck 20, 30 miles away are touching the water. They literally merge with the water. They're at your eye level. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And why? But they're at the same height. If you drew a line from your eyes to those clouds, for you, that line would look like it's parallel across the water, right? Because you're going straight forward. But if I was standing underneath that cloud and I can see the line that goes from your eyes to the cloud, I'd see a line from 10,000 feet sloping down to your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Which one of us is right? It's how we perceive the world.
Gotcha.
And they've bamboozled us into believing utter nonsense.
So with everything that is happening and with the the bamboozlement and the mind control, if you will, wanting us to do certain things, and I'm assuming right now with everything that's happening, vaccinations, because I've gotten lost in rabbit holes about conspiracy theorists and conspiracy theories and the Bilderbergs and those guys. But one of the things that I found interesting about what's happening now is it was said that they would find a way through vaccination or through chipping you to be able to keep up with all of your movements, know everything that that you're doing. And one way, I even heard one guy say, well, the cell phone, all of a sudden, all of these smart items you have in your home, your cell phone, these smart items that you have in your home is one way. It's just a step of them keeping an eye on you, because obviously they can tap into that at any time that they want to.
Yep.
But they said the next thing was the vaccination. I want to hear your theory on that, because I know when COVID was, supposedly COVID was rampant back here last year in March. You had mentioned some things on one of the shows that I listened to, and you were saying that it's one of the biggest things where they're telling everyone that has they're in the hospitals, all these people are dying, but what they're not telling you are these people that they have said that have died all had pre-existing conditions already. So
the average age of somebody dying with COVID is 84. The average life expectancy of the average human is 79. Okay. So if you get COVID, thank God you're going to live 4 or 5 years longer than you did if you didn't get it. Right. The other thing about COVID is the CDC has never identified what it is. It's never passed what's called Koch's postulate, Koch's postulate. And that is, or it has to be isolated and then proven to cause disease. Well, they've never isolated it, so they don't even know what it is. They've never seen it. The thing that they're calling COVID is like 39 base pairs of DNA, where a virus is like thousands, or way, way, way more than that. And it's literally equivalent to, if you test positive for COVID, by the way, the PCR test, the guy that invented it said nobody should ever use this to diagnose disease, because that's not what it's for. And if you amplify it enough times, you can find anything in anybody, right? Well, he mysteriously died a year ago, right? Okay. And they're basically, what they're finding is when your body, when you're sick, it's not because you caught something from somebody else, it's because you're detoxing. And you're getting rid of toxins, and your cells excrete things called exosomes. They're solvents that are cleaning your body. Well, they call them viruses. So when they say, hey, you've got a lot of these viruses in your body, you're sick, you're detoxing. You may be sick, but it's not because of them. That is a result of your immune system working well, right? The entire germ theory was hijacked. That, if you have a sick fish and the water is filthy, would you inject the fish with medicine, or would you give them clean water? You fix the water, right? It's our terrain. It's not the germs, right? It's equivalent to going, hey, you like house fires. Every time you go to a house fire, you go, the last 10 fires I've been to, ambulances and fire engines were there. Therefore, ambulance and fire engines are the cause of these fires. Okay. It's the same logic. It's ridiculous.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, it's all about mind control. Okay. It's all about mind control.
Your mind is in the cartoons. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, our time is coming up, Dave, and I'd love to have you come back on the show maybe in a couple of months if we can, to get in some other things. There's some other things that you talk about thoroughly, but I mean, this has been very, very interesting for me, and I hope that our listening audience will enjoy this as well, because there are things that are unquestionable, and I do not believe everything that the government tells us. I don't, I believe
that's a start.
Yeah, I don't believe that they think that we are smart enough to comprehend some of the things that they're saying instead of just saying it, and I think it's been that way for years. And they don't want to change it, right? And I also think there's some other things behind it. Like, I believe all of a sudden, these things we hear about bad foods and the stuff that we put into our bodies, that I think that is a way of making sure that the earth doesn't get populated. That's one of my things that I think about. What other reason would you do it?
Well, you have to look back every 100 years. They do this same thing again. 100 years ago in 1920, we had the Spanish flu, and everybody was wearing masks and getting vaccinated, and there was a mass die-off. In 1820, there was cholera. In 1720, there was the plague. I mean, maybe this is a 100-year cycle that they're doing. So just to finish up, flat Earth. Why am I talking about flat Earth with all the problems in the world? And the reason is because if you don't know who you are, where you are, what you are, and the power of your own mind, you're lost and you're controllable. You will believe that if you get within 6 feet of a healthy person, you're going to die, right? You'll believe insanity. So if you're lost in space, spinning out of control, you have no control over your life, and that's where they want to keep you. So if you think flat Earth is stupid, that's ignorance or willful ignorance, because I've now shown you there's something to look at. So if you want to search flat Earth, if you Google flat Earth, you might as well just go get the vaccine. I mean, because you're going to get nothing. You're going to get nothing good, because there's so many turds in the punch bowl. You can't find the flat Earth fruit anymore, because they've loaded it up. Besides the algorithms, there's, if you search flat Earth, there's hundreds of videos going up every week, nonsense videos, just with these trolls, these probably CIA paid trolls, just putting up ridiculous stuff. You're going to get Simon Dan, and you're going to get Professor Dave. These are government paid shills that are putting out straw man arguments, just nonsense. I developed the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. It delivers you a new video every day. It has the frequently asked questions section where you can say, what about eclipses? What about sunsets over the ocean? Where does the sun go? What about boats over the horizon? What about, why the lie? And if you click it, up come a playlist of videos that Google will not serve you, that you will not be able to find online. You could spend 500 hours searching online if you have the fortitude to do it, and get about maybe 5 hours of decent content. But in the same 5 hours, you can get 5 hours of awesome content from my app. So my app costs $2.99. So I'm not trying to rape you, but if your 495 hours are not worth $3, you probably shouldn't even be looking into flat Earth.
That's
okay.
Right. That's right.
So it's called the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. It's by Blue Water Bay. There's some Flat Earth Society type knockoffs of it that the basic will gatekeep your mind. They won't feed you the real information, and it's to stop you from getting my app. And it's available on the Apple App Store. You have to have an iPhone 6 or better, and the Google Play, and you have to have a 8.0 or higher. And just go read the reviews if you want to find out if it's worth the $2.99, and you'll see that everybody loves it, and it's literally the best way to wake up to flat Earth. I'm not here to sell apps. I'm here to spread this message, and the app is the fastest way to learn.
Yep, and I have got the app myself, and I haven't been through every single video.
No, you'll never get through every single video, because I keep adding more.
They keep adding more. But there's some very, very interesting as well as questionable things inside of there. A lot of good information. So
watch today's video, which is about all the disclosed documents from NASA, from the CIA, and from the FAA, talking about treat the Earth as a flat, non-rotating plane. When they model airplanes and everything, they consider the Earth a flat, non-rotating plane. Why would they do that, Flat Earth Frank?
That's a good question.
You know the answer, because the Earth is flat. Why would you model something against a spinning ball, when you know the Earth is flat?
That's right. That's right. That's right. Well, Dave, I certainly have enjoyed our interview, man. And I appreciate you coming on. Definitely got to have you come back. I'm pretty sure that we are going to get a lot of questions regarding that.
One more thing.
Sure.
I have a team of trolls that were going to follow me, and they're going to comment. They're going to go, he's a scammer. It's not true. Flat Earth is stupid. Flat Earth has been debunked. Flat Earth is dying. All of this stuff. And what you'll see is they never offer a single flat Earth proof. And the ones that comment on everyone's comment, the same guy will comment. Go to his channel. I call those channels the Globe Earth proof channels, because what you'll find there is zero content, zero subscribers.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay.
One of those.
These guys have, like, if I was going to go troll somebody on something, at least I would have something to support on my channel.
Something
right?
Supported some type of content.
Yeah, they have zero content. So those are the Globe proof channels, because there is zero proof of the globe. It's amazing.
Wow.
That's amazing. So look forward to those, and when you see them, if I'll go in your chat, if I see it, and I basically just say, is that your best proof? Dave's a scammer, and he's blah, blah, blah. I'm like, is that your best proof of the globe? And they never respond.
Oh yeah. Oh no. The trolls never respond. And if they do, I'm such a smart ass. I always end up shutting them down. They end up losing. So
yeah.
But you have given us a plethora of information regarding flat Earth. I appreciate you giving us some of your time today to speak on it. Definitely got to have you come back, man, because, I know there's a lot more things that we could talk about. We probably can go on for hours and hours, but why don't you tell everyone, I know you told us about the app. Is there
Yep.
anywhere else that people can find you, or tell
Yep.
everyone how they can find you if you have any social media or anything
Yep.
like that?
Will do. By the way, everything on the app, besides the model and how it works and everything, all of the videos, they're online for free. Good luck
Mhm.
finding them. All right. So my podcast, my Facebook page, my Instagram are all the same name, the Flat Earth Podcast. Pretty easy. The Flat
Mhm.
Earth Podcast. And my Twitter is the FE Podcast, right? The
Mhm.
FE for Flat Earth Podcast. And my YouTube channel, which has all short videos, good, pungent, great introductory videos, most of them under 5 minutes, is called DITRH. It's just the initials for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. DITRH. And just find that, go just plow through those. And again, those are even hidden because half the videos that won't even show up. It'll only go back like the first 100 videos. It's amazing how hard they're trying. You can also find me on Odyssey,
Mhm.
ODYSEE, under DITRH. All of those, all my videos are there also. It automatically mirrors them.
Okay.
So there you go.
Excellent. Excellent. Hey, man. Well, Mr. Weiss, we certainly appreciate you coming on the 336 Pull Up Podcast, this bonus episode on Flat Earth. We're going to have Dave come back again when he is available to discuss some more things with us. Hope you guys have enjoyed the show. And Dave, man, we appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much for your knowledge and, throwing some stuff out there, making people think. That's where I believe it starts. I think that's where it started for you. If you don't believe what he says, go and research it yourself. That's what he's telling you. That's why there's an app. It only makes sense. He's trying to give you a way to back up. If you don't believe him, he's giving you information, and that's where it starts.
Don't believe me. Belief is the enemy of knowing. Go verify it yourself.
That's right. That's right. All right, guys. I am Frank Styles for the 336 Pull Up. I'll be talking to you guys very, very soon.